Welcome in, everybody. I'm Joey. You join me here on Fentanyl Motorsport for some of the most insane races on this game. It's X-Class, the highest power index cars can go, and I'm going to attempt to take this Aston Martin Valkyrie AMR Pro around the track for hopefully your enjoyment, but mostly your laughter. As we pass about 10 professionals going wide at turn 1, not much space left for Max Verstappen in turn 2. Turn 3, he's tapping me deep and left me no choice but to touch tips with another Aston. What a douche. So I'll try to catch up with him, show him how to pass properly when I get there, but this Valkyrie, it might as well be the only car in the class. Nothing else in the game even comes close to competing with this thing. There are some older F1 cars that you can use in X-Class as well, but it's like if I ate a shit ton of donuts, downed a bottle of muscle relaxers, and tried to outsprint Usain Bolt in 400 meters. It's no contest. The Aston, it's just too quick through the corners to the point that you have to train your mind and your balls too, really, to not lift through some of the corners. It's mind-bending. It breaks the laws of physics. Isaac Newton would be shitting his suspenders, or whatever they wore, back in the 1st century or whatever, I don't know. But we'll cap off lap 1 with a penalty coming out of the chicane. That'll be 4/10 for me. These cars are notoriously hard to handle, but eventually, it took me a few laps, but on lap 5, about halfway through the lap, I did catch up to 3rd place with Max Verstappen in 2nd place, not too far ahead of him. The leader, on the other hand, has built up a gap of about 5 seconds. He's had clean air the whole race, so catching him, probably a lost cause. We'll focus on trying to get up into 2nd. Getting on the power nice and early, coming out of the chicane. I got the run on 3rd place, now 4th place, so we'll take that podium spot. And now I'm in a tricky position where I want to be defensive, but I also want to stay on the offense to see if I can get up into 2nd place. So tapping Max, immediately letting him know that I remember exactly how our abusive relationship ended on lap 1. And I want my spot back too, damn it. So moving over to get that draft, looking for the 2nd board on the left side, braking on that, down in the 1st gear, clipping the apex nicely. He did as well, going out wide to take the right-hander back onto the 2nd straight, staying in that draft, trying to reel him in as much as possible. Late on the brakes, the Valkyrie in front goes a bit deep into the hairpin. I'll take a slightly better line, and that gap just comes down ever so slightly once again. It's at 3/10, so it'll come down to 2/10 down this next straight. Turning left off the banking, Mo's back end's going to get loose. He's off in the grass. That'll lose him a couple of positions, and now it's up to me to take this chicane nicely and build up, or at least keep that gap above 4/10 to 3rd place. And sure enough, we've done it as we cross the line. I'll take a 2nd, a couple of fun passes there on the last lap to end it on a high note. Best lap was 1:03, so a little off the pace, but I did gain 10 spots, so quite a bit of fighting going on, and we'll move on to Indy. I was looking forward to this one. We're doing the oval, put a quick tune on the Aston. I just lowered the aero all the way down and adjusted the final drive, hoping that would be enough. I'm basically hot and fresh horse manure around ovals, so sending up a prayer to the Forza gods, and yeah, I think they responded. They gave me a good start at least, a couple of free positions, moving down to the apron to completely avoid that guy that just took out that Formula 1 car, ended up not getting a penalty for it, pretty lucky. Easily passing a couple of more guys on the straight, and now it's just a matter of trying to catch up to 1st and 2nd. I'm hoping the makeshift tune is good enough to get me up there, and also my skill as a driver is good enough to get me up there as well. The leader goes spinning. He took a massive hit in the wall, but if you make a mistake on these ovals, you're going so fast, chances are it's going to lose you quite a bit of time, and it's going to be a massive accident too. So as things sit right now, Dora Explored Me, one of the better gamer tags I saw in this session, is in 1st place. Another great gamer tag, Can of Beans 76, is close behind me and approaching pretty quickly, which could end up being a good thing. If we work together, end up doing this right, use each other's slipstreams, there's a possibility we catch back up to Dora, maybe swipe 1st away from her, huh? Then there goes Can of Beans. I'll move over, soak up that slipstream, get up to speed, and hopefully go for an overtake on one of these straights coming up. First, I got to get through T1 and T2, and the car is responding a little funky to it. Lots of bouncing going on from mine and the car in front. I don't turn in early enough, brush up against the wall, and just like that, I'm losing precious speed and falling out of slipstream range of the Can of Beans 76. And to make matters worse, lap 4 starts, it's raining, and I have no idea what the best strategy is. I don't know if I should go in for wets or if I should stay out, so I just pretty much resorted myself to thinking, I've got third place locked up. I'm probably not catching these guys in front, but lap 6 came around. It got very moist on the track, and Dora ended up going into the pits. A lap later, Can of Beans would also end up going into the pits. So I figured, I've got nothing to lose. I'm staying out. I've got these hard tires on. They're going to degrade a little less or a little slower now that it's wet out, and I'll have a 30-second time gap to work with. So come the start of lap 10, I've got a 15-second lead to Can of Beans now. Can of Beans and Dora both have penalties, but Can of Beans only has a 10th, so that's not really all that much. At this point, all I was trying to do was keep myself from staring up at that time gap and try to focus on the driving, but the gap was coming down so quickly, I couldn't stop looking. I was trying to calculate if I had enough time to get to the finish line in first place, but I'm dog shit at math, so I wasn't able to do that. Round in T3, no incident, but Can of Beans has that time gap under 9 seconds now, so he's getting very quickly, a bit of a drift coming out of T4, and we're on the home stretch. Starting lap 11, the final lap, my back right tire would clearly prefer I stop racing, but I can't do that. Through turn 1, I'm clearly battling it, not able to take nearly as much speed as I was before. All the while, the gap now comes down to 5 seconds, and he's now on my mini-map, closing fast. The indicator pops up on my screen, so I have a look back, move to the inside to force him to go around the outside, just try to save as much time as possible. It turns out it was actually the leader who wiped out on lap 1 and just unlapped himself. So I shit my pants for absolutely no reason. I genuinely thought that was second place, but fortunate for me, it was not. And to celebrate, I completely fail to spin the car across the line and get slapped across the line by second place. I am a certified piece of garbage for that one. Don't deserve this win whatsoever, but we got it. The lap time wasn't there, but not pitting gave me that extra second, just that second that I needed to finish in first place. So there you go. I got lucky and will not be acting like a dumbass anymore. Well, I guess I'm kind of still going to be a dumbass because in this one I decided I want to try the Ferrari out just to see the power gap between the Aston and these old F1 cars. I can confirm the gap is massive, so taking T1 around the outside, the Marlboro man doesn't like that. This guy hits the wall, and just like that, we're up into second place. Taking a peek back, there's an Aston on my tail. I can hang with him on the straights, but through the corners, it is nearly impossible, and here, he's just going to tap me wide and go on through. Honestly, I don't blame him. This is basically multi-class racing with me in the lower class, so I should have just gotten out of the way anyways. Into T1, coming out of T2, we've got another Aston on my tail, and around the long right-hander, while I'm just going to get tapped out of the way again, and again, I don't blame him. So in the end, I'd come around and finish in fourth. Almost got a podium, kind of. I was 20 seconds back, but in terms of position, I was pretty close. So if that counts for anything. Next up, we've got Le Mans. I'm back in the Valkyrie. Did not want to do the Ferrari again. I'm starting in 12th. Almost get squeezed into the wall, but just about slipped through up into 8th place. Around the right-hand bend, there's a Ferrari off. He comes back on. I'm on the brakes, and by then, it was too late. I was smashing right into his rear end. I guess roles reversed from last race, and now I'm putting the Formula 1 cars out of the way, but I didn't lose any spots from it. Still in 8th place. Coming up on the left-hander, Sarge on the right, braking very early. I dive up the inside. I don't think he saw me there, and we ended up making contact, but we're through into 7th, and now I'm trying to get around another Formula car. It's Big Angry Bill up front. We'll see if we can use the slipstream to get by him on the first straight here. Bill moves over to the right, most likely to break the toe. Comes back to the left. I start moving right. He moves right. I move left. He moves left. And the next thing I know, I'm in his rear end. I had no idea which way he was moving, but eventually we do get by him heading into chicane number 1, down into 3rd gear. And it wasn't a great chicane for me, but we got through there and didn't crash head-on into the barrier. So every time I do that, I consider it a success. I'll try to do the same into chicane number 2, but no promises. It is me after all. I think the same time I get the perfect chicane at Le Mans is probably the same time pigs fly and the fat lady sinks. So here we go into chicane number 2. Missing the apex, but honestly, that's about as good as I'm going to do it. especially in these damn cars. Usually I wind up like that Waltz guy who was facing the wrong way. So once again, I'll take it. The two guys up front are getting touchy-feely with each other. I can never tell if the hitting is intentional in these cars, but I think there was enough there to cause concern. So I'm going to slip up the inside and try to do them both into the right-hander. I Can't Drive is ironically tapped wide. Second place goes on through again, and that'll be third place for me. So again, we're in the slipstream, trying to catch back up. This is the same tune on the Aston that I used at Indy, so the straight line speed should be good. But the corners might end up being an issue. We'll just have to see. So we got by second place, and we'll skip to the end of lap 1, coming through the couple of sets of chicanes. I'll cut the last one, and you already know that's going to be a penalty. A pretty big one, too. 1.6 seconds. Okay, so it's not great, but Kato, who continues to stay with me, has 4.5 seconds. As long as I don't do something stupid like that again, I should be fine. Taking a look at the leader, the time gap has come down to 5 seconds, so that 1.6 second penalty hurts me, but the time gap is coming down. Skipping to the first chicane, the time gap is now down from 5 seconds to 3 seconds, and the leader's on the screen. So the Spidey senses are tingling. I sense a race coming on here. We're getting close. I'll kick it into overdrive or turn the nitrous on down the rest of the straight into the second chicane. The leader is going to make a mistake. The gap becomes under 2 seconds. Maybe the tires are starting to go. Maybe the nerves are kicking in, but we continue to gain down these straights and into the right-hander. We are within a second. That means we're going to have some slipstream, baby. So here we go, down the last long straight that we're going to have. So ideally, I'll make the pass here with the slipstream and try to fend them off through the corners. I'll need to build up a 1.5 second gap, though. We'll just see about that. So we're coming up on him now. He moves to the left. I'll take the right lane with the right-hander coming up. Dab of brakes to the right, back on the brakes to take us back to the left. Through there pretty nicely. Can't complain. We're still in the lead. I can't say the same about the next corner. I go medium defensive into this one, and just, it's an abomination of a corner. That was pretty disgusting. I let him right back up alongside. Everyone's probably cringing at that disgusting line, but luckily I've got the top speed. We're back in front, and I can set my mind back on trying to somehow build this 1.5 second gap up. That brings us to the S's, where it could go either way. So lifting and downshifting for the first, staying in 6th gear and really downshifting for this one. And look at the cojones on those two. I mean, third place, it didn't work out too well for him as I almost lose the car. But first place, God, the balls on that guy. I completely lost confidence, shifted down into 4th. But this dude, I don't think he lifted. And through these last chicanes, very wisely, he'll take those slow, not to get a penalty, and ruin his chances of a win. And he'll cross the line for a well-deserved victory. That was just awesome to watch from my perspective. Glad it happened. Glad I got second place there, because that was pretty damn cool. All right, and to finish off the video, something I'm not proud of, but what I'm going to show you anyways, is my very first ever disqualification from a race. I'm not happy about it, but it's been 6 going on 7 months this game's been out. Here was the first penalty, so I basically just get railed from behind and slapped across the face with 5 seconds. So we're basically halfway there, almost, to getting disqualified. Here was the second, just slicing through the field. There's a collision that forces me wide, and of course, I get a 1.5 seconds for it, then spin out. For the collision on the spin out, I get 2.75 seconds, so that brings me up to a grand total of 9.25. And here is the kicker. So coming around the right-hander, the Formula 1 car moves across. I go off track to avoid him, but I realize I can't go off track. I'm going to get a penalty. I overcorrect getting back onto the track, and I end up absolutely murdering the guy. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of my first ever disqualification. I hope you enjoyed. I have officially been inducted into the Hall of Fame of filthy ramming bastards, but besides this race, I did have a bunch of really good X-Class races. I did not expect that at all, but I was pleasantly surprised that some of these races are actually pretty decent. Didn't expect that. So if you guys enjoyed, do all the stuff the YouTubers tell you to do at the ends of videos, and I'll talk to you soon. Alrighty, bye everybody.